everybody, it's your favorite rabbit, and today I'm going to show you how I went about writing and recording and mixing and mastering my song, Leporid song, The Beacon. So we're just going to do this here in one take throughout and really get to the dirt of it, right? Okay? So with this song, if I can remember correctly, I started out with just the rhythm guitars. You know, just kind of getting that fatty rhythm guitar sound with the blast beats on the drums. That was what I had in mind. And so once I got the rhythm guitars laid down, which I used my head rush pedal board for, I should say my head rush gig board, which is the smaller version of the head rush pedal board. Used that to track the guitars, and then digitally, so no mic on an amp or anything. And then after I had that done, for this first riff, as you can see, they're broken up into sections here. You know, I don't really, my writing is pretty much in the box here in Ableton. I don't really write and then come to the recording process. I do everything right here. Which is how I've done it for years personally. Since 10 years working in FL Studio and Cakewalk Sonar and other programs. Okay, but I'm getting lost here. So once I had the guitars rhythms down for this one portion, I knew I wanted some blast beats, so I went ahead and let me just solo these drums with the guitars. I went ahead and used my Superior drummer software here, which, you know, if you haven't looked at it before, it probably looks crazy at first, but it's not too complicated. Essentially, I use grooves that I have here. Well, that's a little ridiculous, ain't it? Wow, oh my goodness. But as you can see, it's based on a beats per minute setup here. If I were to change this beats per minute, this would slow down or speed up, and it gives me ideas of like which, you know, see here is 160 beats per minute, so that was the speed in which they recorded it at. So it'll be quite close to 180 beats per minute, for example, so it won't be too sped up or too slowed down compared to the original recording. Okay, so once I I'll briefly show you this on my mixer. I send the snare, as you can see here, the snare. I send that to this one snare track here, so that I can just adjust that snare accordingly without affecting any of the other instruments, right? That's what I love about Superior Drummer. And I do the same with the kicks. Well, the kick, you know, drums here, I send that to 1 and adjust that accordingly. And then I also do the toms. I should do those separately personally, but I don't know why I haven't gotten to that point. I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did there. I found a good blast beat thing, got the drums going, and then this is what it was. Right? Pretty jam, okay? And so then, let me just go ahead and minimize some of this unnecessary stuff here for now. So then, I knew I wanted a nice lead guitar part for this. So I went ahead and duplicated these parts because I'm a lazy bones. And then I went ahead and recorded this lead guitar part that you can hear by itself right here. Pretty jam, and then I just added that to the guitars and everything. Whoops. And of course, you know, decided to drop off the blast beats just to get that, you know, really nice circle bang, head bang motion going in there. You know, it's always been a favorite of mine. Like for for example. Gotta love that, gotta love that. And as you can see here, I just added a little drum part here. Most of these are just grooves that I showed you I grabbed from the packs, but I adjust them a decent amount to give them my own little bit of flavor, or based on what I think the song needs. So then actually I would normally add bass guitar first, but I don't have a bass guitar right now, and my bassist is in Denver, and so he sent me some bass a little later, but we'll get to that. Where is that bass? It's got to be around here somewhere. Well, this is funny, guys. Here it is. I put it in there with the synth. Silly me. Look at me. I'm trying to keep it organized for you guys. And look, I just transferred it to the clean vocals now. I've got all these groups. So let's intermission for 2 seconds here as I fix this. Hilarious. Okay, so now I'm just going to rename this. I thought I had done this before. Bass. Okay, look at that. I'm going to minimize these synths. I'm going to minimize the clean vocals. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to minimize the screams. And now I can just show you what's going on here, right? Okay, so now I'm going to minimize these drum stuff, the extras. Perfect. So initially, like I said, I would record bass first, but it actually ended up being a little later. I ended up doing the synths first, but for the sake of consistency on my typical process, I'm going to show you the bass now. So this was the bass that I had received from Jake after sending him just these raw guitars with the drums and such. I really enjoyed this particular part right here. Really jam with with everything happening. With the guitars there as well. So really awesome. But as you can see, I got the bass from him then, and then just added that in there. Of course, I did some mixing after all of this, right? Okay, but this is just me showing you the recording process and the writing process that I do at first, right? Okay, so here's where we're at. Now it's got bass, right? Okay, and to be honest, before I sent him that bass, I continued to lay down the rest of the guitars and the lead guitars. But I think that would be a little boring to go into literally every aspect of my songwriting, but we'll dip a little bit into each part, okay? So for example here, just some verse action, right? And as you can see, it's not exactly a copy and paste here. They're 2 different tracks. This is one with this ending, and then this is just a nice little chord thing. And this next part, I worked based on chord progressions. I worked based on chord progressions here. I added the drums up here. So everything's kind of, as you see, coming together. It's just verse, and then a nice little pre-chorus, and then the chorus kicks in. Oh, wait, no, I lied. And then the chorus kicks in. See, I typically have markers up here whenever I'm doing something like this, like a presentation, but today I just don't feel like making all those markers for something that I pretty much know where everything is, right? Okay. So you see, I just wrote this little pre-chorus part, went back to the intro section, back to the verse. I'm really lazy with this kind of stuff. And then just a number of the pre-chorus, and then a doubled up chorus. So you see, I'm pretty predictable in that sense. I've always kind of liked the pop style of songwriting with the verse bridge, or excuse me, the verse chorus, verse chorus bridge kind of type thing. So that's, I don't typically do bridges too much. I focus on just melodies and hooks, but now I'm getting lost, okay? So I had, the guitars, the drums, the lead guitars and such. And then I went ahead and laid down the synth. And let's just look at this like by itself, right? So here for this song, sometimes I have like 7 synths, sometimes I have like 20 synths, sometimes I have 1, but in this particular song I just used 2, okay? I used like a nice key rhythm thing. I kind of followed the reggae approach where you have 2 different keyboards, right? And if you want, like for example, a lot of these lows are cut out so that it doesn't affect the guitars and bass and stuff, right? They're just kind of like present in the background. So this is them with the low cuts, with the high pass filters off. So now there's going to be a lot more lows. If I was going to like open the song with that or something, that's what I'd do, is I would put those low cuts off at first and then bring them back on. But in this particular song, it just goes right into it, so it just leaves the low cuts on for the whole song, right? And then as you can see, I just kind of like followed the chord progression of the guitars essentially, and then added a nice little piano melody that kind of matched the lead guitar. So let's just check that out by itself. Whoops. Synth, guitars, lead guitars. And then with the lead guitar here. Right? And with these synths, like I said, basically just like a nice little rhythm synth. And then a piano melody. And then I just used those 2 instruments to fill the whole song, right? Cool, right? So then once all that was done, I had everything except for the vocals, right? I had the bass from Jake, I had my synth down, I had all my guitars, the lead guitars, the drums, and I can show you a little bit of the mixing, but let's just kind of finish up the songwriting process here. So then I had everything there, and then what I did was I wrote some lyrics afterward. Sometimes I write lyrics before, sometimes I write lyrics afterward, but in this particular case, I wrote them afterward. And so this is kind of what I came up with, and it's pretty funny. I actually don't know where the notepad is for these lyrics, but I was going to show you how. Actually, I still can. How actually my lyrics are basically just written in these like stupid little like notepads. But yeah, that's what I do, is I just sit down and I write these lyrics just as an extension of myself without like planning them too much. That's why there's not like a lot of metaphors or analogies or anything really like that deep, is because, you know, I basically had the whole song without the bass and everything done in 40 minutes. It's just a quick extension of myself. I'm not like trying to make really intense masterpieces. But as you can see here, I just added the vocals in.
Here I sit upon the shadows of life absent.
And then what I do is I see, if you can see here, I have like a centered track, and then I record it again twice, and I have a right and left. Okay, and that's just to give it that full sound. And this is like the first time, pretty much the first time that I've done, this album will be the first time that I've done non-unison harmonies. Normally my harmonies are just the same thing sung twice, as you can see here, or as you heard here.
Shadows of life.
But in this particular song, I decided to add some harmonies.
I hope that you decide.
And I think I'm gonna stick to that, because that's really pretty in my personal opinion. And then, you know, I added some screams in there. People have been asking me to add more screams, so I went ahead and did that. And as you can hear here, I follow the same approach with the center, the right, the left, the layering. Right? So then the whole song was. Right? Pretty jam. And then with the clean vocals as well. right? So that's everything. And then I just had the whole song laid down. Pretty easy, right? And I just, honestly, I believe, yes, I just duplicated this particular part for the first part of the chorus, and then this is just a second part that I recorded. I recorded this later at the very end. Right? So the whole process was done in less than 2 hours. Now that's not a brag. That's just an explanation of why it's not extremely dense, why I don't have, like crazy melodic transitions and things like that, is because I really just sit down and let it flow. Maybe one day that'll change, but for now that's what I like doing, right? And just to kind of show you a small amount of the mixing that I do here, I'll just open up all of these tracks, go through everything subtly, quickly, just to show you kind of what I do. And honestly, this is what a lot of engineers do. Maybe I should say that with a grain of salt, but as someone who's gone to school for audio engineering, this is what a lot of people do, right? Okay, so let's gonna start with my cymbals. I do a low cut here to prevent any bleed from the other instruments, because Superior Drummer works like a real room with drums. So as you can hear, without this low cut, you can hear a lot of other stuff happening. Right. Let me turn this on as well. Okay. And then with this one, it just kills the bleed, and it just makes it sound a lot smoother, so those lows don't compete with any of the other parts, right? Right? Pretty easy, pretty subtle. And then the snare, I have an EQ where I cut lows, boost a little bit of mids so that you can kind of feel that punch of the snare. I have a little bit of subtle reverb. As you can see, it's only at 10% wet, so that means it's only affecting like 10% of the track, right? Okay. And normally I do like parallel stuff, but lately I just been doing a portion of dry or wet, right? Okay. Feel free to call me out and hate on me for not using parallel, but that's okay. As you can see, I do have some parallel stuff happening here. Okay. Some sins and returns, but yeah, and then I just use compressors to really bring all the volumes up, right? Okay, the kick, for example, I just cut some stuff that was really bothering the low part of speakers, cut some of the highs, because these fake drums sometimes tend to be really clicky, particularly the one that I found, so I cut some of the highs. This particular frequency, let's see if we can hear it. I must not have liked that frequency. Let's find out. I actually did this particular drum mix actually like a year ago, and then I've just been copying and pasting the drums, because you can do that in Ableton. I can just copy and paste this and then open up a new session, right, and then just paste those drums in there, and then just delete this stuff and redo it, right? So really easy. So I haven't touched this stuff in a while, so I don't even know what this is about right now, but let's find out. It's probably just some annoying thing happening with the kick. And actually, this is cool. It's a solo mode of soloing whatever frequency I choose, right? I don't know. sounds like a woodpecker, but I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, but as you can see, I just cut some lows, compress the kick, bring it up, and you can really tell the difference on the kick, right? And then the toms, same kind of thing. I cut some lows just so it doesn't compete. Added some reverb, only 12%. A little compressor to bring the volumes up. On my guitars, I literally just do a low cut, a mids cut, a harsh cut, and then an air allowance, basically, right? That's the best way I can explain this, because this is how I've been able to carve my guitars and fit in my mixes. But I'm not a pro. At least I don't consider myself like a super pro, right? So like these are the before and after. I really think it sits well in the mix personally, right? Okay, and then the lead guitar, same kind of thing. I just use a nice EQ to clean it up. I get rid of more lows on the leads so that they can be turned up more without affecting the lows of the other instruments, right? I might have said that a few times now, right? And then I normally don't use a compressor on lead guitars. I just turn volumes up, but in this particular case, I think I hear my bunny breaking into shit. But my bunny buddy. But Yeah, as I was saying, I normally don't use compressors on lead guitars, but in this particular case, it really just brought it up with everything else in this like wall of sound section here. Right. And then, yeah, so lead guitars. And then my scream, same kind of thing, just a low cut. I cut some highs because I'm actually using a $10 microphone and the highs are super harsh. I know I'm crazy, right? $10 microphone, but you know, whatever, I gotta pay bills. And then a compressor just to bring the volumes up. Easy peasy. And then, let's see what I got here for my clean vocals. I've got just another low cut, right? Some, that's, I believe, 2.5. Yeah, so that's around 2000 hertz. That's like the S's and stuff. There's still some in there that I could fix up for the final album, but whatever. This is actually a saturator. It's a saturator that I use anywhere from like 50 to 100%, depending on whether I'm doing like rap or R&B or whatever, right? But this is a really good saturator. I really like Ableton's saturators, vocal saturators, and guitar saturators. They just sound really nice. You can use these for a lot of stuff. They really bring the color to the a different timbre to the vocals.
It's upon the shadows of life.
Very subtle, but you can totally tell the difference. Trust me. And then a compressor, of course, to bring the volumes up. These ones I used to do like a nice long release so that each part sounded the same. But then I realized that they were kind of getting hidden behind all the instruments, so I decided to just use the fancy automated button here, and it just kind of knows when to release the compressor based on the everything else that's happening in the mix, right? Like all the other instruments. Really handy auto tip or auto addition to their compressor. And then, lastly, I have the synth, right? And I do these ones probably all individually. Or, well, I guess I have the bass guitar, right? Low cut, compressor. Okay, a lot of people split the bass up. They do like a DI take and then like a low and a high, and I did that for a long time, right? And like, so you make one of the lows, clean it up to the point you want, and clean a high up to the point you want, and that way you can really get rid of the mids and really stack things up. But personally, I've come to enjoy just a nice, well mixed single track bass. Okay, and so he'll send me a decently decently dry tone, and then I just add this like bass overdrive. It's a free bass overdrive from TSE Audio, and it's really awesome in my opinion. Let's see if we can hear the subtle difference, but it's worth it, right? Really like that. Free plug-in there. And then my synth, yeah. So this is just a huge, this is like how the synth is built, basically in Ableton. And then over here I've added a low cut and a compressor, right? And then a low cut and a compressor. I essentially showed you guys that when I started talking about the mixing, or when I was showing the synth, right? But yeah. And then lastly, wait, is that it? I think that might be it. Now let's look at the returns real quick, right? So, as you can see here, my cymbals, nope, no, as you can see, nothing is happening with my cymbals. Let's see if I'm using any of these anymore. Nope, so all of my drums are being handled by the stacked reverbs, currently that are set at a, at a 10% dry wet to not just like color the thing. I mean, it would be ugly. Like, listen to this, right? Right? It just adds a little bit in the background without like just wetting the entire mix with madness, right? And then, but in other cases, I will send, such as, I'm sure I did it. Yeah, here we go on the lead guitar. I have sent all of this, the whole volume of this track to send number 1 here, which is my send A, which is my reverb, right? And then my reverb over here is 100% wet. So now I've got this tone by itself without the reverb. Well, actually, there's other reverbs on, so let me just solo that real quick. Right? No reverb. Okay? And then with that reverb. Right? And then with the other reverbs as well. Let me just Control Z back to that. Whoops. right? Nice fatty reverb with the delay and all that, right? And so see, the whole volume is being sent to reverb A. 12, the whole volume minus 12 decibels is being sent to the delay that I have built here, and then the whole volume minus -5 decibels is being sent to the bright room reverb that I have here, just a little higher, kind of like a brighter reverb, right? So yeah, that's it, guys. That's really it. Let's just do like a nice little playthrough of the chorus so that we can all just kind of enjoy what we've digested here. Where's the chorus? Pretty jam, right, guys? So, thanks for watching. I hope you kind of got, at least an idea of how I write my music, maybe some insight into how you could add some tips to your own arsenal, with making your music. If this has had some type of positive effect on you, like, comment, and subscribe, please. If it hasn't had a positive effect on you, please let me know a way that I can improve um, in my own mixing and educating others, right? Because that's what that's what we're here for, just to help each other make some beautiful music, right? Awesome. Much love, everyone. Stay hoppy.